C'est la saison des avocats et en ce moment, nous en consommons beaucoup. Qu'ils soient coupés en tranches, en dés dans une salade, ce fruit riche en bonne graisse est vraiment plein de bienfaits. Voici 5 secrets de ce délicieux fruit. Les avocats aident à réduire le taux de cholestérol et à maintenir un système cardiovasculaire sain. Des études suggèrent que manger un avocat par jour peut aider à réduire le mauvais cholestérol chez les adultes en surpoids et obèses. Il peut également contribuer à diminuer la formation de plaques dans les artères qui sont souvent la cause des problèmes cardiovasculaires et son riche contenu en potassium favorise le bon fonctionnement de la tension artérielle. Grâce à leur graisse monoinsaturée, les avocats aident à ralentir la digestion et à prévenir les pics de glycémie après un repas. Cette augmentation soudaine du niveau de sucre dans le sang est souvent à l'origine de la sensation de fatigue après le déjeuner. À long terme, le pic de glycémie peut même contribuer au développement du diabète de type 2. Si vous êtes enceinte ou si vous y pensez, l'avocat est le fruit qu'il vous faut. Il est riche en folate, acide folique ou la vitamine B9. Ce nutriment, souvent recommandé aux femmes enceintes, contribue au bon développement du cerveau, du crâne et de la moelle épinière du bébé. L'avocat facilite l'absorption des nutriments liposolubles tels que les vitamines A, D, E et K, qui sont présents dans les caroténoïdes, par exemple dans les carottes, les patates douces et les giromaux. Ce sont des antioxydants essentiels pour la vision, la croissance cellulaire, le maintien du bon fonctionnement des organes comme le cœur, les poumons et les reins.
My name is Jean-Marie Ruffe. I'm from Guadeloupe, and I'm the manager and co-director of JS The Garden. And our company, it's a company that's here to help people to get better health through nutrition and good habit.
That was beautiful. All right, so Jean-Marie? Can I say Jean-Marie? Okay, so let's start with, so you're putting J Marie, and I go, that's not very unique. So how do you spell your Jean-Marie? Is it JEAN dash Marie, or is it J Marie?
No, JEAN dash Marie.
JEN. Oh, there we go. All right. So this is good because the entire time I'm like, I go, it could be. I'm so used to Jean-Marie, but I wasn't sure. So I'm very happy I asked this.
Okay.
Right. So thank you very much for being here. So we got connected through a mutual friend. Well, I should say, I'm going to say mutual friend now, while I was in Guadeloupe. But because I was in Guadeloupe and so many things were happening, I didn't get to meet you live. So next year, definitely I will meet you live, but I wasn't able to meet you live. So I'm so excited to have this time to meet with you because I'm in love with Guadeloupe. In love.
Oh.
I'm going to say for years I have been looking, because I'm Haitian, and going to Haiti it's difficult. As we all know, it's very difficult to go to Haiti, but to be in Guadeloupe and to be I was with so many Haitians, and I was like, I go, this is wonderful. And your Creole is very similar to our Creole. And I'm like, it made me so happy to be there. And also whenever I met someone asked, what island are you from? Because they know island people know island people.
Yeah, definitely.
So all these things that made me so happy. So I love where you are. I'm so excited to promote everyone and anyone that I can get my hands on. So before we start talking about your business, we already know you're in Guadeloupe, so that's a good step. Before we start talking about the business, I always tell people we can't understand the business until we understand the person behind the business. So please talk to me about from when you were younger, like you were born and raised in Guadeloupe, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
from when you were younger all the way to university.
Okay. As you said, I grew up in Guadeloupe, and when I was younger, I was very curious. I was somebody very curious. I was looking forward to, I never set for less. I like to think forward. And my parents used to use an expression, they say, comparaison. In other words, it's you always kind of want to know more. And I think this is lead me to, I study commerce, a bit of business. I did my baccalaureate, and I stopped my study and I went to the military service, French military service in French.
Wait. I'm going to stop you. I love how you're fast forwarding through. There's so much that you were like, I was curious. In college and university, I mean, what? There's so much more. So let's just start there where I was also that child that was, I mean, I'm not even just a child, I'm the adult, constantly curious, constantly needing more. How were your parents? I mean, do you have siblings? Do you have brothers and sisters? But how did your parents control that little kid that was constantly curious?
Oh, interesting. The thing is, I'm the last one.
Of how many?
So, 7.
Did you see how you tried to avoid telling me that? What are you doing? You're killing me. Oh, okay. Yeah. So you are, all right, there's 7 kids. You're the last one and you're constantly curious. What did your parents do for jobs? What did your siblings do? And what made you so like, I need to learn. I need to like, I was like everywhere. And how did they react to you? So that was a lot of questions. What did your mom and dad do? What did your sisters and brothers do? And how did they control your curiosity?
My mom used to work in agriculture. She's retired now. My dad was in the building industry.
Yep.
My brother and sister, they went to different fields. But what made me more curious and the way I see life was different than them. They were a little bit more like, they accept the life of the islands and that's nice, we just relax. But I was always saying to myself, no, I want more than that. I want more than that. And I think my parents, they saw this in me from a young age. That's why when I decided to move to England in my early 20s, they were pushing me to do something completely different because I knew France. Yeah, I knew France already. So I wanted to do something completely different, and I left. But
you're the baby. You're the baby. Like everyone. I mean, what's the difference between your oldest sibling and you? What's the age difference?
My oldest siblings, 11 years.
There's 11 years, so you're her baby as well. Like so, they're taking care of you. You're adorable. Like they go, and you're like you're mischievous, but. Like, how did they even accept that? Like your parents saw it, but how did they, did they convince you that this is the time for you to go because you're the last one? Or did they all find ways to try to convince you to stay home? I mean, was there a discussion or was there like, why don't you just behave?
There was a discussion, but when I set my mind on something, that was it. Because they were saying to me, well, you're working here, why you want to go to England? You can go on holiday, but why you want to experience? Because I just found a job at the time. Mm-hmm. So I was very curious, and I was already I want more, and that was my nature. What am I doing today? I want more than what I have today, and I think that's what led me to where we are now today in terms of the company.
Interesting. All right. So because for me, I always say the business and the founder. There's something about the founder that develops the service or the product. And so the curiosity part is always the one that drives most entrepreneurs. We're curious about how we can make changes because something's bothering us. We're like, we want so much more of it. So that's why I always wonder, how did your parents deal with you wanting more? Because you're on a beautiful island. You have so many siblings. They have great jobs. You have a degree. And where did that come from? That passion of wanting more is what I'm always curious about.
So I don't know, I think it was something innate. It's like something that is in you. You just can't control it. It's like, I might just make allusion of when I was in England, to become a teacher. Then 4 years later, I was in a leadership team.
Yep.
But then I was always thinking about what's next. You know, I love teaching. I love the education field. But after 10 years, I said, what can I do more? And the idea of entrepreneur start growing in my head and etc.
So you graduate from your degree in Guadeloupe or in France?
In England.
In England. All right. So education was in England. What was your major? Business, right? Economics?
The system, the thing is, the business was in my baccalaureate.
Okay.
When I did my degree, it was psychology and health psychology.
Oh.
And I did a second degree in education. So before.
Okay, wait. You see my face, right? I'm scrunching up my face because there's so much. So wait, when you left Guadeloupe, what did you want to go to school for?
What? Say again?
What was it that you wanted to study when you left Guadeloupe?
The thing is, when I left Guadeloupe at the age about in my 20s, I didn't have a set idea, but because there was the side where I love people, I love the contact. So I think that's drive me towards psychology. Then I like the aspect of health and that health psychology.
Okay.
And then after that, I put all this together and did a master in education. And then I started teaching psychology and language. So first, I don't have I just have this thing in me that's saying to me, you need to strive, you need to progress. But I didn't have a set idea of what, and that's grow throughout the year. And I've got an excellent story to tell you about how.
This is why we're here. Well, I mean, we're here to tell stories. But I just want to get clarification here. So how many years were you a professor?
Sorry?
How many years were you a professor?
Just over 10 years.
10 years. Okay, so you're in England for 10 years.
No, I've been in England for 18 years. So the study, I worked in different field, and then I started getting into education. That's
okay. So what are the fields that you did when you graduated? So after your studies, what were the fields that you got into? Did you were you a professor before the other jobs, or were you a professor after?
So what I did, I firstly work with children with problem.
Okay.
I finish. I also work with adult, and then I decide to lead myself into teaching.
And was it a private practice, or was it a hospital, or what location where you were working in the field of psychology for this children and the adults? So
it was private. It was in Ealing, and with the adult, it was in Shepherd's Bush.
It was what?
Shepherd's Bush, the area. So it was those kind of center that the government used to open, and where people with difficulty would come. So we had a lot of homeless people. So they would come, advise them and help them to kind of reintegrate in the society. So that was the kind of field I was working with. And I think I stayed in it about a year and a half. Then I went back to uni to get into education.
Okay. How did your upbringing on the island prepare you for now helping individuals that are in a mainland? You're in England. How did that prepare you for helping individuals succeed after they've had some mental care? How was that? Because going to university and learning about it and actually doing it are two different things. And in Guadeloupe, it's a haven. It's an absolute haven of Guadeloupe reminded me of when I lived in Australia. It's the happiest place. It's very, very lovely. It's lush. There are problems, like anywhere, there are problems, but they're less kind. So now you're in England. So you're in a big city and you're seeing these major turmoils. How did it affect you in regards of who you are now, the way you grew up, the studies, the actual work, and now who you are right now?
So I think, first of all, how being in Guadeloupe before helped me, is the caring side. So you live in a society where people care about others. So I think that when I get to England, I think that was one of the things that was in me. So that helped me in terms of the work that I've been doing. So there was, I always offer a little bit more than just a job.
Yeah.
What, for example, when I was working with young people in school, what allowed me to go up the ladder very quick is because I was always giving this more.
Yeah.
I get it from the island. It has its downside because sometimes you can be a little bit naive, and that's the downside of it. But I think what Guadeloupe bring me, and my wife, she's from England, and she say that to me all the time. She say, "Oh, but you can leave your bags here." And I say, "No, things happen." But he said to me, "Oh no, it's not like it." I say, "Don't do things happen." But it's true that it is a place who still, I'm talking in general because there's a lot of problem also where people still care about others, and I think that's an island mentality. It's not just people care about each other, and I think I bring this with me, and a lot of people who met me for example, for my first job, somebody say to me, "You will be good in that school," because they're recognizing me this kind of caring for students, etc., etc. So I think that's what the island bring me as a person and in my career.
I have to say that 100% agree with you on that one. When I was younger, my parents were like, "She's gonna get kidnapped." I talk to everyone. I do. I to this day, I mean, I talk to everyone. If someone makes eye contact, I always say good morning, hello. I mean, I love people. I mean, my marketing firm doesn't focus on marketing of a product. My marketing firm focuses on elevating humans, because without the people, we can't do what we do. And when I went to the island, it was just like I was home. Like everyone said good morning, everyone said hello, everyone checked on you. Even when I came back, the amount of people that continue to check on me to see how I am from Guadeloupe, it's like I'm home. I'm surrounded by people that are just like me, which is the most happiest place for me. I mean, I know some people say that we're naive and things like that, but it's a really happy place. It's a happy place. So when did you decide that after 18, like, so you're working with people, then you decide to be a professor? Being an educator is another gift. I believe that if you know it, you have to give it back by teaching it.
Yeah.
What were the, what it was 18, 20, like what was the age of the students?
So a secondary school would be 18 to sixth form, 19.
Okay, 18, 19. So how was it for you? Like now you were in the field, you're working, and now you made the decision to teach. Why?
But you know, that's another interesting question.
I am full of interesting questions today. Yes.
You know what? Sometimes you have, as I said, you've got things in you that you don't even know. When I went to the military service.
Wait, pause. Military, before. Wait, oh my God, the order of your life is crazy.
Before all this, before going to England, I was in Guadeloupe. I decided to do my military service.
Why?
But I just wanted to do it. And once again, it was to explore other places. So I went to the French Guiana. Okay. So I wanted to do it. But what other people notice in me is my ability of teaching. So I become an instructor. While I wanted to do my little job in the corner, some people said, no, you're not going to do that. You're going to be an instructor. So it was hard. So at first, I was very resistant. But at the end, I became a surgeon before I left. So that was a big reward. But
wait a second. Oh my God, you're killing me. You're killing me. You're a surgeon?
Yeah, I became a surgeon at the end of the.
Are you joking? All right, so there's a TV show called Saturday Night Live in the United States. Yeah. And Saturday Night Live, in the 70s, they had a comedy thing where they had Caribbeans and they were making fun of Caribbeans. And they're like, I go, "You're a Caribbean." I go, "What island are you from?" "I'm from Jamaica." I go, "How many jobs do you have?" "I only have 10 jobs." "Oh, you're a lazy bum." We don't just have one job, but boy, you have 10 zillion careers. Okay, we have to unwrap this. Oh my God, I'm exhausted. So let's go back. You're in the military. They see that you are in the corner. You're like, nope, we want you in the forefront. You go to the French Guiana, you're in the military, and then you decide to be a surgeon, like a doctor, like surgeon.
Yeah. No, not surgeon.
What?
Maybe
what?
that my pronunciation is the grade. The grade.
What? Oh, sergeant.
Oh, that's.
Oh,
Oh,
my
no.
oh my God. I was like, what? Okay, a sergeant. Okay, now I'm on the, okay, because I was gonna say, like, how the hell did you get a sergeant? Oh, okay, there we go.
That's my pronunciation.
I'm having fun here. All right, so you are in the military for how many years before you become a sergeant?
Nearly 2 years. No, how many years? I became a surgeon a year later.
A year later, okay. Clearly you're smart. I like that. So now, how many years were you in the military?
I stay only 2 years.
2 years, which is not that bad. It's like 2 years, okay. What's the requirement to stay?
But you have to be outstanding because there's an amount of place and then they make a selection. So you have to be outstanding. And I was a surgeon already, so it's a bit easier for me to kind of carry on.
Okay, all right, perfect. Okay, now, all right. So now you're in the military, you leave the military, you go in, do your university, you get your degree. Now, all right, so now the progression, then you go become a professor, okay? So now from the professor, how many years are you're a professor for 10 years?
Over 10 years, yeah.
Over 10 years. Now, you've done the military, you've done the actual working in the job, in the career, in a private sector, you go into being a professor. What did you learn from all of those three things that brought you to the point where I wanted to be an entrepreneur? Because as islanders, we're entrepreneurs by nature. It's part of our DNA, okay? So what skills did you learn from all three of those things that brought you to the point of being an entrepreneur? And I ask you because so many people want to be entrepreneurs. They have jobs, they want to be entrepreneurs, but they think they have to go to school, or they think that I don't know how to do it. And they don't realize they can take all the skills that they have to bring to it. So what are the skills that you learned from each of those positions that brought you to knowing that this is where I want to be? I want to build my own thing.
I would say it was like I was building. I don't know if I can say a story. This is the word, but today when I'm looking at my life, I realized I was building to be who I am today. So if I didn't went to the military, there was things that I would have not learned about myself, self-confident, you know, your ability to do things, etc. Because when I went in the army, maybe I was a bit shy, I wasn't too sure. So that teach me the self-confidence. England teach me to open myself to others, teach me skill that I didn't know about. So I would say this was a building up to the point that I am today, and say to myself, oh, that's where all this was leading me. You know, that's why all the difficulties I had to build the business, I was able to carry on, because I could remember when I went in England at the beginning, it wasn't easy. When I went to the army, it wasn't easy. I have to work hard. I have to persevere, etc. So that's kind of a building. So maybe I'm answering question a bit early, but one advice I would say to people is when you get into to be an entrepreneur, look back to see because that will help you to carry on in the difficult time when you think doesn't work the way you want, etc. You will remember, oh, it was hard then, I work hard, I learned this. Oh, it was hard then, I work hard and I learned this. And that's why keep me going. And that's why I'm here today. Yeah.
I'm always so curious because you were this child that was so curious. And then you just mentioned I was shy in the military. What I mean, there was a gap where what happened to that curious child that was like always everywhere, and it's like, and then you became shy? What happened? Because something usually happens in life where you're like, you lose yourself, but now I feel like that young child is back.
That's a good question. The thing is, I realized that sometime in life, event can happen it could be in your environment, and little thing, and can crush your confidence, but you don't realize it. Things that have been said to you, little remark. So you could be this very curious child, but I would say around adolescent time, you might find yourself, because you are in this kind of research of who you are, and your environment and your experience can sometimes put a veil on who you are. And I think that's why I needed to go to kind of make sure that I remove that veil and become again the person that I was supposed to be. Because I think that if I didn't make that move, I would have just have a normal job and not be really happy, because my person would have not be fulfilled into what I was doing. So I think that's a very quite good question, because it made me reflect, in fact, on this. And I realized I needed to go. It was important for me to go. And it wasn't easy, because I come back 3 times. It wasn't easy, but I needed, because, and that helped me to remove that veil of shyness, of not very confident, and realize, no, you're not. And get back to the person I am now.
I love it. Oh my God, that makes me so happy. This is why I always tell people, I don't do any homework to know who you are before this conversation, because we're going to talk and I'm going to hear your words, and I'm just going to ask for a clarification of your words, because you said it. And I go, well, if you were curious when you're little, how were you shy? So it's one of those things that people forget, or they don't talk about what happened in their life until someone questions it. So that curiosity in me always comes out in these interviews, because human beings are beautiful people, and you have a beautiful life, and I want to know more and more about it, but I want to share it with other people, because someone out there is listening to you and thinking, oh my God, he's talking directly to me. He's saying something that resonates with me. So you're an educator, you're teaching, you clearly love it because you've done it for such a long time. When did you decide to leave the UK and then come back to the Guadeloupe and start your own business?
So the decision was made about 3 years before. So because we were on holiday here some years ago with my wife, and I said, do you see yourself living here? Because she's British. She speaks French and everything. She said to me, oh, yeah, if we have, but I had my little idea growing in my head already. So I just touching the land to see what will be the reaction. And what I did during the 3 years, I prepare myself. And I say that it's very important to prepare yourself. If you do something, train yourself. Check for information. Don't just go into it, because there's a difference between our dream, I will do this, I will do that, and the reality. So my wife, she's a solicitor, decided to do a course of naturopathie before me. So we were kind of thinking about the idea of restaurant and institute, and she started the course of naturopathie. And one day she see this course of vegan natural chef, and she said to me, oh, I've seen that course. It was the first year they were doing in that college. She said to me, it could be good for what we want to do. And then I get information. I say, great, this is a great opportunity. So I had to make sacrifice, go work part-time, less money, and go to the course, but to get later on what I need. So we kind of prepare. And I remember we used to sit in our flat and sit on the board and start thinking about what we want to do in the project. So there have been a long process. So what I say to people who want to be an entrepreneur is to take time to work out your project. Have an idea, a clear idea of what we want to do. We came here, and then we're looking for consultant and thing to help us to adapt our ideas of the concept or of the context in Guadeloupe. And this take another year. So sometime get to where you want can take some time, and that's what people need also to realize when you get into to be an entrepreneur.
A question. So the course that you took. So in total, because of the Wi-Fi broke up a little bit. So from the moment that you took the course to the time that you created the company, How many years did you prepare for this? Because sometimes people think I'm going to just jump into it without preparation, but you took time to prepare the plan. You guys wrote it down. You worked together. Just working with your wife, it's a big deal. Sometimes people forget you have to have someone that supports you. So you and your wife were working together, developing, designing. How long in total years did you develop before you actually said, I'm going to start right now?
I think if you include the training, about 3 years.
Okay, so 3 years. So let's talk about what is the company. So what is it and what does it do?
So what we decided to do, we've always been interested into health and nutrition. I've been cooking in my family from I was 12. So that was already in me. So, and I've always been interested in nutrition. And I'm going to give you this story. I'll keep it short.
Yep, no, we have time. Go ahead.
When I went to England, I was renting a place in Wembley, and there was this old lady living upstairs. She was we were the tenants, so I was sharing a place with someone. And every night when she go to bed, she'd have so much pain that it was crazy. We could hear her downstairs. Oh. And she will take, to come up from a sitting room to a bedroom, she could take 10, 15 minutes. And I didn't know her very well. So one day, and that's what the aspect of caring come back again. One day I came and I say, you know what? What could you do to, at least to try to improve your situation? She said to me, I don't know. And I said, what I'm going to do for you, I'm going to cook for you for free. And I say, I'm going to cook for you, and but there's a condition to that. You're eating only what I gave you. Because what she was eating was affecting her health.
Oh.
Yeah. So what I say to her, I went, at the time I have knowledge, but I wasn't trained. So I went to see people who could help me. I said, this is the condition, this is the situation, what can I do? I went to some health shop and I asked some advice, etc. And I started cooking for her. She loved the food. And I said, you know what, I'm not going to make you a vegetarian. We're going to cut a bit on the meat, have a bit more fish, etc., etc. And she said she agreed, but she loved the food. So she said, oh, because I love the food, I can carry on. But you know what, for somebody who moves on from a chair, a month later, I went upstairs and I said, how are you doing? And she just stood up and she said, look at me. And I was shocked. She said, she was so happy. She said, I don't remember the last year could just stand up. And
did she lose weight? Was she, so how old was she and was she heavy?
At the time, I think she was 70.
Okay.
She was quite big, and she was all the time sitting in a chair, but she couldn't move. So she lost weight, she gained energy. And to keep the story short, she went to America to a niece wedding. Oh. And all of said, Mom, you're not going to be able to do that. She said to me, no, I will. And 6 months later, I cooked for her 6 months. I was a student, but because I was seeing the improvement, I couldn't stop. And then I say to her, she had a carer. I say, I will teach your carer what I'm doing for you. Mm-hmm. And she went to America while she couldn't even sit on the chair. And all this, I put all this together, it kind of matched the concept of what we want to do. And at the time, I didn't have an idea about the project of business, but I realized that all those things that I experienced, and all the time, she died last year.
Oh, what at what age?
I think she was 86.
Perfect.
And the doctor said to her, and no joke, a doctor said to her, Mrs. Sterling, if you haven't changed your diet, you would have died a long time. One time a GP came, just hug her. You've got good, you look good, etc. I give her a big hug, etc. And you know, the good thing in all that is people start coming to see her, because I used to leave her some notes.
Yeah.
So one day you're eating this, you're eating that, etc. So a friend used to go and put the paper and go home with it. And one day she saw one of her friends and she said, oh, you look very good. She said, oh, you don't know. I've been collecting all the paper. They used to call me Joe. I've been collecting all the paper Joe lived for you, and I start doing it also. But all this to see that I've always been interested about food, health, and then we just bring that together in this concept, and we train ourselves to get credibility, and then we build the concept. My wife, she's very into naturopathy, alternative medicine. So we in that way we did a good team to build this project together.
It's funny because my cousin and I were laughing at, like, one day we were just talking about how when the former president of the United States told everyone to drink bleach because that would help them with the coronavirus. And we were just like laughing about it. And we're like, and we were saying how when we were sick, our parents would make these remedies and we would take them and we would tell our friends and they're like, oh God, that's so gross. Oh, it's kind of funny because everyone has their remedies or their foods that they eat, and they do well by it. When your neighbor started eating your food, at the beginning, how did you convince her? Because most people, I mean, we have the blue zones. We know the studies of the blue zones and how these people are centenarians. They're healthy. They eat meat. They walk. They garden. They live 100 years old. And everyone's like, how is that even possible? And at the same time, you see in America the worst diabetes. You see obesity. How did you get your neighbor to say yes? You cooking for them is nice, but you convinced the person that had all her life, she was in her 70s, all her life, she did it one way and one day. So the bad habits were ingrained in her. How were you able to convince a person that's used to the bad habits to change her way to such a dramatic change? Because there are books, there are TV shows, there's all these different fads. How did you do it that it resonated and that other people started seeing that as well?
I think I start from her perspective. So, for example, there's a difference. There's a lot of people who cook healthy food, etc. But one of the things I say, it have to be nice. To convince somebody, food is firstly a pleasure. You can say to somebody, eat for health, etc. If what they're doing or what they're eating is not nice, you're not going anyway.
Yeah.
And you take it from the person, what the person eats, and see what you can improve, how you can improve it, but make sure that it's as nice as what she thinks that, related to the person. And I think one of the things that I did first is make sure the food is nice. So when you taste it, it's nice. Secondly, the relationship I have with her.
Yeah.
I used to come to see her, encourage her. At first, I have to go upstairs and say, how did it go today? So I have to kind of follow her a little bit until and once she starts seeing the result, that was a no return. That was a no return because she used to take 14 paracetamol a day.
Wow.
And she sometimes said to me, I forget to take the paracetamol because sometimes I take it one to go to bed for the pain and one in the morning, but sometimes I just forget about it. And when she see all those results, she create the motivation and she used to tell everybody about it. But I think the most important thing is make things that people like. Food is a pleasure. If you try to make people change diet and they don't have a pleasure in what they're doing, unless they have got a strong personality and they really want to change, it's not going to work. And I do believe that I don't believe in being strict and make things so strict that to the point that you have to take it from the person and make the improvement step by step. So, for example, I say to her, what we're going to do, just simple example, I'm not going to say to her, just stop eating meat. I don't think, especially, I say to her, we're going to make it maybe twice a week.
Yeah.
And I say, we're going to increase the fish. And and you have to always work with the person because too many times people say, oh, you're going to change your diet. I'm going to help you. And then you find yourself with some salad in a bowl and some tofu next to it. And they say, you can't eat this, you can't have this, etc. And then if you want to help somebody, you have to take it from the person's perspective.
Yeah.
And I insist on that. You have to be nice. it have to taste nice.
How are you able to, I mean, so you're developing this whole entire, it's a realistic way of eating for people. But your biggest competitor are the fads, the bars, the milkshakes. I mean, your competition is the non-food. I mean, I call it the non-food, where that's not something it's not a fruit, it's not a vegetable, it's not a meat, it's not a grain. What's in this bar, this candy bar, or what's in this milkshake that is going to make you lose weight, that real food could do the same thing if you knew how to use real food. So your competition is all these things, all these products with all this preservatives. How do you get into someone's mindset where they want to lose weight quickly, they want to be smaller, they want to be able to like function, but they don't want to pay the money to get fruits and vegetables. They don't want to pay the money to get the healthier options. So how do you even have that discussion with someone?
The aspect money, it's quite important, because sometimes people think that become healthy will cost money.
Yeah.
For example, what the teaching aspect bring me is this capacity of discussing with somebody and find a plan and what adapt to the person. And I think that's what teaching bring me. So for example, I've got a recipe that I make that's very simple.
Yeah.
That will increase the amount of vegetable in somebody's food who don't like vegetable. So for example,
isn't that funny that you just like, so I love fruits and vegetables. I was born that way. I mean, my mom's a chef, so I appreciate it. But when you just said, I will increase the vegetables for someone that doesn't like vegetables, how does that work?
So for example, I will do, there's something in Guadeloupe, and probably they're doing in other places in the Caribbean. They call it sauce. So it's a sauce, not cooked. So you chop onion, garlic, pepper. You put a lot of vegetable, and then you put olive oil and I put a little bit of curcuma in it. And it tastes very nice. So what you do, if you love vegetable, it's an excellent way to increase again with the olive oil, and you put it on your food. So people, for example, say, oh, I don't like vegetable. You make this, you chop it very thinly, you make it in this nice jar, and you put it in your fridge, and whatever you're eating, you just put it on your food. So you've got the olive oil, which is good. You've got the curcuma, and you've got fresh vegetable in it. So that's just an example. I say to people,
it's a trick, but it's a smart one.
Yeah, wow. Then because most of the time people always like a little bit of gravy and on their vegetable or whatever they eat. So and that's the kind of thing that I use with the lady I was working with. So for example, there's something they call golden latte. And I used to make a golden latte, but we used to make it with a bit of coconut milk, Caribbeanize it a bit, and improve the taste. And then when she drinks this, she says to me, "You sure this is supposed to do me well? Because I love it." I say, "Yeah, it will do you well."
So wait, is that the coconut milk, the cumin? Not cumin. Tarragon.
Coconut milk. What do you?
But no. So what? So is this? Wait, I'm trying to think of it. Is the golden milk where you put the taramic, taramic, ginger, coconut milk? Is that the same one?
Kind of. What I do is we do it with almond milk.
Yep.
So what I do is, because you need what they call the good fat for the curcuma to kind of work in the system. So we put the coconut milk in it, and then you just flavor it. So, and we don't use, for example, we don't use sugar. We just use agave syrup or things that have a little bit less sugar into it, and just try to make it healthier. It's an excellent drink people love, and then it's really well for people who've got inflammation and things like this. That's a very good way of working this out.
Pour la préparation de notre infusion, j'ai ajouté ici le lait de coco, le cardamome, j'ai mis à peu près 5 à 6 grains de cardamome, un peu de romarin, et je vais rajouter un petit peu de cannelle que je vais ajouter ici, et je vais rajouter un cube végétal ainsi que quelques bâtonnets de citronnelle Et je vais laisser ça, bien sûr, mijoter pendant à peu près 10 minutes.
Who are your best customers? Like, so who are the people that you want to work with the most? Because is this a restaurant? Is this a cookbook? I mean, like, what is the business and who are the best customers for you?
So the business, we divide it in two sides. So there will be the restaurant will be like the show of what the institute is doing. So we're going to start the restaurant, set it, because we get the official document last week. So we're about to start. So we start with the restaurant, have a team, train the team, it take a bit of time. And the institute will be classes, course, but oriented to health. So for example, if you want to know how to do, I put this in bracket, healthy baking.
Yep.
We will class for that. How to improve if you've got cholesterol or diabetes, how to improve your daily food. We have class for that, and with this we'll do cooking class. So the restaurant will be like, I've seen the concept in the UK. The restaurant will be like the showroom of what. So you come in there, you enjoy the food. This is what the food is, but we can also train you to get to the point that this kind of food we present you that is healthy and nice. You can learn from us. So that's what the institute is going to be for. So they will work in tandem. I don't know if I can say that in English.
I love the neighbors honking. I love it. That makes me, that's the funniest thing. Traffic jam. What is the future of the company for you? So like, as you're building, I mean, so all of this you started obviously during the pandemic. So you came back. So what year did you come back to Guadeloupe?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. So you came during the pandemic. I mean, so you come back to Guadeloupe during the pandemic. Right now, I mean, one of the biggest discussions that I had when I was there was how France is penalizing Guadeloupe because there's not enough people that are being vaccinated. So the cruise ships aren't coming back. So tourism used to be the major, well, tourism still is, but tourism is a major factor for all of the islands. And when the cruise ships don't come in, it hurts. But now more and more people are finding alternative ways to gain revenue. So what is the future of this business for you? Like, where 2 years ago, you decided to come back from the UK to come to Guadeloupe. The country's not getting as much tourism as it used to, but you're building something that is a business that can be used for tourism, but also for people that are coming to get better health. Yeah. What is the plan long-term?
So the plan long-term is to, and let's go back to, as I said, the story. I'm also a teacher. Mm-hmm. The plan is to have an institute that will move towards alternative medicine. So how can we move to train naturopath or so we place this in about the 5 years coming.
Okay.
Move the institute, because the restaurant at the moment, it will be the main place of revenue.
Absolutely.
But while we're going through the year, the institute is supposed to grow, and the rest will become just the, as I said, the showroom.
Yep.
So it's to have an institute that is a bit like where I did my training, and where they train people for naturopathy, the vegan natural chef, etc. I know in France it's a little bit, things are a little bit more structured. In UK, things are a little bit more flexible. So it is something that we would have to see how we can. And I think the Caribbean is an excellent place if people want to learn those things.
100%, absolutely.
Learn those things. So that's the goal, is to transform the institute into almost like a school of natural medicine or alternative medicine. That's the goal.
Out of curiosity, so I met a woman that was, I spoke at one of the accelerators for women in business. And there was one woman that spoke about how she wants to use hemp to, like, she wants to promote how the island can produce healthier hemp to be able to like form a bridge to New York or Boston, etc. I know cannabis is, you're watching how cannabis is being legalized everywhere. Definitely not in France at this time. In Massachusetts, before it was legalized, people assumed it was young people that wanted it, but it's more so the older people because they don't want to live on all these medicines. They want something that if I have cancer, if I have pains, I want to be able to sit there and eat it, not smoke it, but eat an edible and have less pain. And so where is that happening in Europe right now? Because in more and more places are realizing that cannabis isn't what they thought it was. And it is definitely lowering medical costs because people could take something so small and alleviate a lot of the pains. So because you're in the natural health care, where does that fall in your world?
I think that's to be honest, that's not something that we have start thinking about yet.
Okay.
But there is places in Guadeloupe, for example, who sell product derived from cannabis, etc., or health products, etc. But it's true that it is not something. That's a very interesting question, but it's not something that we have sit and think about that much. This might be something that we want to discuss about.
I only brought it up because so it was legalized. It's less than 10 years here that's been legalized. But there are restaurants that are taking the oils and putting in the food. And so it is one of those moments where the more education people have, the more they realize, oh, we can use this in so many different ways. Like there's lotions, there's clothes. So that's why I'm like, especially in the islands where whenever someone asks, like, I go, what island are you from? Like, well, when my family's from Haiti, they're like, oh, do you guys have pot? I'm like, we're not all like Jamaica. So because it's just easier for people to assume that, but I'm always, because now the second it became legalized here, and I don't use it because I love my champagne. I love my rum. There's certain things that I'd rather use more, but I'm always so intrigued with if this product exists, and the pharmaceutical companies were the ones that were scared here because, two companies. The hospitals were scared because they get so much federal funding for pharmaceuticals. And then when marijuana became legalized, they started seeing less people wanted the medicine because they found natural ways. And so now I was like, and now that other countries and other states are doing the same thing, the pharmaceutical companies are realizing, oh my God, that's our money, that's our bottom line. And the funding that a lot of these hospitals were getting, they're losing that as well. So I was just curious to see, how does that play in Europe and how does that play in the islands when a lot of people are starting to realize, why am I giving you so much funding if I'm still depending on your drugs and my body is not healing?
Yeah, definitely. And to because I remember a few weeks ago we went to Bastille, where there was a shop specialized in medicine. So I think in France they start opening to this. And medicine, cannabis, they were different. So we just was passing by, and I was saying to my wife, "Oh, look at there's this place who's selling different product."
Yeah.
Right? Because it's true that, for example, in Guadeloupe, it had a very bad connotation.
Yeah, so, everywhere, not even just everywhere around the world. It's always had a negative connotation to even be associated with it.
Yeah. And I think educate people about it. It's because also what we're thinking about doing is bringing new flavor, new. It is not just cooking food. It's really which kind of product that you can bring into your cooking or your whatever you're doing to bring it up, and also what we in Guadeloupe or in the Caribbean, what can we show to the world that we've got, and then we can say, oh, you know what, we've got all those things that can help, instead of just quickly the first reaction is to get paracetamol or get into medication, etc. Which I'm not against, but I'm just saying that we're doing a lot of research on that. to know, especially when we're going to do in the institute, where we're going to do classes, we really want to educate people in terms of what they can do to help them with their health. So, yeah.
Well, I love that you even say that, because if you were paying, I mean, I'm sure you were paying attention. So I was paying attention to the countries that had high numbers of COVID versus the countries that had low numbers of COVID. And the islands were always low with their numbers. And people were scratching their heads and were like, how is that possible? I'm like, when you're living off of the land versus dependent on other things, and when you're living healthy already, it was harder. And again, there were people that got COVID, but the numbers were dramatically lower than in most countries.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something that says something, I would say, about the reality. Yeah,
absolutely. Switching over, because I wanted to go back to your family and your move. You left during the pandemic. If the pandemic never happened, do you think you would have been in Guadeloupe? Do you think you would have moved?
Yeah, we planned this before. So before the pandemic, that was the plan. We have our date. We have everything was set in advance. So yeah, I think we would.
And were you happy? Because I always been saying, like, well, when I asked, did you marry well? Because during a pandemic, you realize if you married well. Did you marry well?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Because I tell people right now, I think they should have a law that the second you marry someone, you have to be trapped with them for 1 year outside, and you can't have access to other people, just to make sure you marry well, because divorce rates are high because people realize, oh wait, I can't go to the gym. Oh wait, I can't go with my friends. Oh my God, I'm stuck with this one person. Ah! And so I'm happy you married well. Yay, good job. Yes. And I love the fact that during that time, you guys worked together as a team to build this company up, to build this organization, and to know that you have a partner in this dream is amazing. So will your wife continue being a solicitor, and is this what the both of you guys are doing solely now?
Say again, repeat the question.
Will you and your wife, is this what you guys are doing only? This is the business, this is the family business now, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I go, what is the highest point of owning this with your wife, and what is the lowest part of owning this overall?
I think I would say the highest point is it shows us things that we put in common. Okay, so because we share this aspect of health in general, she's very health orientated. The lowest is she's British.
What does that mean?
Yeah, well, I mean the adjustment.
I love that she's British.
So the adjustment.
Please tell the audience, what does that mean?
No, I mean the adjustment as a British person in an island life in a different time, because she used to have quite a busy kind of life, solicitor working, quite stressful. That's the reason also we decide to make that move. But so sometime, and also, you know, when she haven't had the journey that I have in terms I explained. So for example, when you realize you're investing money, when money doesn't come, you're paying for stuff. Yeah. And you have to wait, and so sometimes that can be a little bit difficult for somebody who been working and getting a salary, and she's quite, you know, I would say focused. Yep. So and when you find yourself in an environment where things can be a little bit unstable, you have to wait. That can be a little bit difficult, and I understand that because you know, we have different type of personality. But I think sometimes it had to create a bit of, which is normal. It had to create a bit of tension because I'm more, my experience make me more able to wait and to be patient on this type of situation, while her, because of the job that she was doing, she's, you know, very focused, very etc. Sometimes I said, well, yeah, we're making that money, but we're putting that money into this, but we don't see the money coming. I say, okay, darling, wait, things will work out. And then when we have people coming to check the kitchen, she come outside the kitchen for the restaurant. She came outside, she said to me, oh, now I'm seeing things, things moving forward.
Well, it's funny because so many couples that I interview on the podcast, there's always the person that is risk avert, and there's the person that runs for the risk. Like, I'm running into the fire. And so it's really interesting because you definitely need both. You definitely need both to make sure that this happens and this works, which is fantastic. If you're going to give advice to anyone that is looking, so during the pandemic, so many people realize I can work from home, or I can do something that I really love every single day, but I'm kind of scared. What advice would you give to someone that is looking to start something that they are passionate about, but they don't know where to start? Like, what were the steps, or what steps would you give advice to in regards of, like, where do we begin if we want to start something ourselves?
There was a cut.
Okay. So what advice would you give to someone in regards of, if I wanted to start something, where do I start? I mean, I have a job, but I really want to do something on my own. What advice would you give to a person that says, I want to start something, but I don't know where to start?
I would say something is, first of all, try to find what passionates you. Because when you have passion about something, you will persevere even though when things are difficult. Find things that something that passionates you, and start research about it. Start understanding, because the idea of our business didn't just come just like this. It comes with a journey. We sit down, we research, we look at what is on the market, we look at what's existing already. So sometimes you don't have a clear idea about what you want, but you start from your passion. What I like to do, what kind of thing that really, when I think about it, I get excited about. And I would say to that, do research about it, and start exploring what you can do. Write it down. Okay. I remember my wife having advice in England that take a whiteboard in the house and write down ideas. And then through the journey, the idea will become clearer. Ask questions, see people, just say, what do you think about this? I think about it. Because it's not where we started and where we are now in terms of the concept. It has evolved a lot. So that's the advice I will say to people. And I say, be ready to wait, be ready to sacrifice, because we don't, sometimes tomorrow we see people in their success, but we don't realize that it have been painful. Because coming here for us, we have to make saving. We have to manage our life differently, because we know where we're going. So you have to be willing to make sacrifice, you know. And the last thing I would say is, when you find, I talk about the aspect of get the information. When you have a clear idea, what can you do to train yourself? Do you need a specific training? Because when you have a training, you feel I'm able to. Because sometimes you might have an idea, might say, okay, I want to open a restaurant, but I don't have it. I can cook, but I don't have a qualification. So I might have a client saying to me, oh, what's your qualification? And I'm stuck, because it's not enough. What can you do? Because training gives you, that's the teacher side of me, but will give you credibility. And that's the kind of advice I would give to somebody who think, and I say, go for it. Go for it. If you in your life, you feel like, oh, I'm not happy in the place that I am, that's mean change is needed. So just go for it, but make sure that you get all the information needed.
Oh my God, that's just perfect in every single way. Okay, so I have two more questions. Well, I have the last question, but then I have this one question. Full circle, what does your family think of the fact that when you came back and now you're doing this, what do they think of this wild child, this curious child that was younger, and all the things that have happened in your life and where you are right now? And also, what do they think about that British accent that you brought home with you? Yeah, that's right. I heard it. I hear it. I hear that British accent that you have.
I think what is nice is I gain a lot of respect because of my experience, because of what I've done, and a lot of encouragement. And because what's happening is my family, they're coming towards me sometimes for advice that thinks I'm the youngest one, but they will ask me advice about something that I'm not related to that field at all. But that kind of gave me respect because I went away, I became a teacher, all the experience. Now I'm coming back, building a business. So this respect that you gain from your family and the way they see you as not just oh, Jean-Marie just playing me around. This now that it's, you know, that brings something to the family in order to, for the British accent. It's quite interesting about my accent. Sometimes I've been to places where people from the Caribbean, and they say to me, "Oh, are you from England?" I say, "You can't hear the French accent above the British accent, come on."
Well,
I like the idea.
That's for me. Whereas I could go there, like I go, your American accent so thick. I go, but is it really, or do you? It's because you know I'm American, I'm Haitian American, and because like when I'm speaking French, they understand me. So I figure like as long as they understand us, that's a plus.
That's it.
Oh my God. Okay, so this has been so much fun. I mean, you're awesome. I mean, I can't wait to come. I mean, well, I literally, this is my, every year I want to be back for a month and I go in. So I cannot wait to come back and be at the restaurant and just see what you're doing. I mean, I think this is absolutely fantastic what you're doing. It's needed in so many different ways. As I mentioned, my cousin and I literally created a remedy book where I asked my friends from all over the world, they were like, I go, if you had these certain symptoms, I go, what would you do? And the recipes that we were getting from friends from all over the world were so funny because it's funny and it's odd to us, but it's natural to the country that it was coming in. So people are understanding, well, one, we're living longer. And because people are living longer, I'm sorry, take that back. We have always lived longer. Like, I mean, islanders, we live long. So, but when you are, now that you're in the Europes and I'm not going to say Australia, the Europes and the Americas, people are living longer and they want to eat better. And so they're looking for alternative ways. And so you are tapping into a whole new stream of business for the island because tourism is one thing. I always tell people, tourism is one small part of what a community should be dependent on. If the community doesn't use your services, it's untapped. And during the pandemic, you had to use the people around you. You had to use their businesses. And so the businesses that survived were because of the community, the people that were in the community. But if now people are coming to you for health benefits, that will always that will always go above just coming in and laying on the beach. I'm coming to learn and be educated by you versus coming and getting a tan on the beach and eating a lot of food that I usually wouldn't eat anyway. So you creating your restaurant, you creating your business is 100%. I mean, the education aspect of it is so needed. It's a knowledge where I'd rather go somewhere where I'm going to learn versus just going somewhere where I just am spending money, but I'm not getting anything out of it. So bravo, and bravo for taking everything that you've done and putting it together. It makes sense. It makes sense. This is the perfect time. If the pandemic didn't teach us anything, if the islands in regard to like how people literally lived, I mean, we live long and also the numbers were low. I mean, everything that you are building is solidified by what we're experiencing right now. So great job. Great job.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So all right. So the way that I end every single interview is always the same exact way. I always say, if you had a personal ask and a professional ask, what would it be? Meaning that we business owners, we ask for our businesses all the time, funding or people like our page on Facebook or things like that, but we never ask for ourselves. So I give you the opportunity to say two things. So what would be your personal ask and what would be your professional ask of anyone that's listening to me right now?
On a professional level, I would say that our goal is not to restrict our business to Guadeloupe. Okay, we would like to also be able to share things, what we're doing to other places, and we'll be happy if we've been invited wherever the place in the world we can go. We speak English, we speak French, and go and share with us what passionates us. On a personal level, I would say that I would like to meet more people with the same passion, to be able to develop this field, because there's no point of working by yourself, your business by yourself, but develop a field where we be able to develop activities such as gala, exposition about veganism and food and health, really develop that field in the island, in the Caribbean, if possible, and in the world, who knows?
All right, so I love both of those answers, because on the podcast, there's a woman that I interviewed that's in New York. There is a woman that is here in Massachusetts, but she lives in Maine. So I want to make the introduction between you guys, because I think that's one of the things where everyone's creating healthier options. And the collaboration between you guys would be fantastic. But also I have people that are in tourism. I mean, I have someone in Cuba, I have someone that is in Texas, but she travels around the world. I think that more and more people need to understand how food and travels comes together. You can't have one without the other, because if you just go to France and expect that you want French fries, you're losing an opportunity. You're losing out on an opportunity. You want to be able to eat what's there. And I think that one of my greatest gifts, number one, I was born in a Haitian household. Yay. Number two, my mother's a chef, so she made us eat all kinds of food. And I have friends from all over the world, and we were always told, when you go to someone's house, you try everything. You may not like it, but you try everything. That gives your taste buds the opportunity to learn. And number three, I love traveling around the world. I love learning from other people. And I've tasted the weirdest things, the most interesting things, but it's always that experience of trying it. And you're like, oh, wow, I would have never known. So thank you very much for seeing that there's a need for this and taking the risk of doing this. And I mean, and I will do whatever it takes to support you and your wife. What is your wife's name, by the way?
Sarah.
Sarah? Yes. So I will do whatever it takes to support the two of you, because what you're doing makes sense. And it's always made sense to me, but it makes sense even more so because of the timing of where we're living right now. So great job, Jamali. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And I would like to say something is your ability of making people comfortable, it's incredible. I was there thinking about what to get, but after the first 5 minutes, I just feel, oh, like I knew you for a long time. And I think in the love of people, I can see in the way you talk, the way you present, it's not just something that you do just like that, but it's really this love of people. And thank you for that. Thank you. And I hope next time you come to Guadeloupe, you will be at our table.
Well, the fun part about it is, like, I go, so one, thank you. I mean, I love people. I do. I really, really love people. This is why my business is not surrounded about marketing your thing or tweeting you. Or like, I do what I love the most is being with people and making sure that you understand how important you are and how valued you are. And so I love what I do. I love what I do. And this podcast was created because of the pandemic, because I was watching people forget how important they are and how they can still add value even during a pandemic. And so I just wanted to reach out to people, like, if you have a story, and everyone has a story, let's just talk about it. And so thank you for saying yes. Thank you for our mutual friend that brought us together, which I'm very, very happy about. Call him up and tell him, like, yay.
I will definitely. He will ask me. I'm just waiting to ask me, how did it go? How did it go? Yeah.
No, but mind you, like, for when we were together, of the Wi-Fi and stuff like that. So like I go, it's like literally we had to stop and go. So like I never edit any of the podcasts, because I say, I'm giving you an opportunity to talk. I don't want to edit your words. But for him, I go, we're not editing. We're just gluing 5 parts together, because we had to stop the Wi-Fi. But it is what it is. I mean, I know that I interview people from all over the world. I know the Wi-Fi isn't great in every single situation, but as long as we can clearly hear your story, that's all it is. And this is a great opportunity for you to share with your community hey, by the way, I'm not just opening up this place. There's a person behind it, and you should get to know who I am first. And even you forgot a couple of things until I asked you about them. So see, it's like it's a memory lane for you. We're going down memory lane.
Absolutely.
My friend, thank you very much. And yes, when I come back to Guadeloupe, and my plan is to do this every year where I go to work. I work in Guadeloupe for a month. So yes, my family and friends are getting bigger and bigger from when I was there.
Definitely.
Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful afternoon, because it is afternoon because we're in the same time zone. But also have a wonderful season, because I know more and more people, it's the summertime, more and more people are coming to Guadeloupe. All the restrictions are less, which is so much easier. So I know that it's going to be more traffic going through the Guadeloupe. I prefer it when I get to be with the Guadeloupeans versus seeing tourists. So I'm very, very excited to come in the spring when I get to spend time with you guys without all the tourists.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, thank you very much once again. I'm very pleased about this interview. Very, very.
I'm not a hard interviewer. It's not an interview. It's a conversation.
No, but definitely. Before I said to myself, I have to take some notes. You know how this going to. But when you started, I said, oh no, you don't put this aside, etc.
Easy peasy, so easy. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This summer, enjoy some fresh produce without spending hours in the kitchen. Did you know that incorporating raw foods in your diet, vegetables and fruits can have numerous health benefits? And I have some good news for you. Raw foods contain the highest amount of enzymes as well as phytonutrients and antioxidants to break down cancer tumours. Various studies have shown protective elements such as chlorophyll, found in green vegetables, and antioxidants such as carotenoids found in carrots, sweet potatoes and pumpkin in cancer prevention. So why don't you give it a go? Once you get used to incorporating more raw foods into your diet, you're likely to notice an increase in energy, better digestion and better skin. By eating more raw foods, you give the body water-based foods to cleanse and fill it with nutrients.